Ready, kids?
Aye, Captain!
I can't hear you! Oh!
Ahoy there, mateys. It's time to set sail on another episode of Unconstitutional Awakening, the podcast. I'm your captain, Jim Bob Opalshorts, and tonight we've got a special guest, return guest, that you guys are probably familiar with. The last time he was here, he disclosed some fantabulous artifacts and stuff that he found on his journey to Telos inside of Mount Shasta. Of course, I'm talking about my buddy Lowell Johnson. He needed to come back and do some catching up, as he says that's kind of how the world flows, and it flowed him right back into our arms this evening. And we're gonna have we're gonna have some good chat with him, man. He's one of the most friendliest guys I've met doing this. There's super kind heart, very charismatic fella, and I always love to hear what he has to say. So I think tonight will be a great episode, and Kaytlyn's gonna join me, and even Kell pops in tonight for a little bit of time and stuff. We're gonna cover a vast majority of things, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this episode. So you guys know that anything that we discuss in the episode, or your ways to get back to Lowell and or to answer your question to get yourself those free Unconstitutional Awakening stickers that we're giving away, can all be found at everyone's favorite website, unconstitutionalawakening.com, your home for everything us, man. We got all kinds of great stuff going on over there. You can get back to all the co-hosts and stuff like there, and all the different sections, and answer your questions over there in the podcast and more section, as well as finding the links for each episode over there, and stuff for where I'm on Red Pill Project, other shows that we've been guests on, and so much more, guys. We're all hard at work putting things up there for you guys to check out, so make sure you get over there and check that stuff out. While you're there, you can also figure out how to watch us if all you do is listen, and listen if all you do is watch us, because you can totally have us on the go in your pocket if you feel like it, or sit back and watch this goofy mug and check out some of the things that we share on the episodes. You can even listen to the show while you're there and checking things out, as well as checking out the Unconstitutional Awakening merch store, where you can get you some sweet UA, the podcast merch, t-shirts, stickers, mugs, man. There's so much cool stuff on there. All you gotta do is pop on over there and check it out, man. And it all goes to funding the show, because this is totally all self-funded, and it's not that cheap, you guys. So we do appreciate if you guys pitch in and help us keep going, man. And we're doing it for you guys to begin with, so man, we thank each and every one of you. We can't help it enough. You can also check out our friends in Liberty: Kirk Elliott, Peachy Key Creations, Ammo Can Survival, Brett Pike with Classical Learner and Homeschools Connected, and Pure Pet Wellness, man. All these folks are doing great things to bring good change to the future of the world, and kind of the things we're going to talk about tonight, the shift in reality and shift to a better tomorrow. So these guys are at the forefront of the battle, and I'm just here to give them a vessel to get their message out, because that's what it's about, is spreading awareness to all the good stuff. You can't be scared of something if you can see what it is. And it's an old psychological trick. You guys can check that stuff out too, man. But I'd say we weigh anchor and get started on this episode, because I'm looking forward to it. So let's get to it. And good evening, everyone. As I said, Lowell was coming to join us this evening, and Kaytlyn is coming in here to hop on tonight to have a good conversation with us. Kaytlyn, thank you for being able to join us this evening, and I'd like to introduce you to my friend Lowell Johnson. He is definitely one of the cooler people that I have met doing this podcast stuff. I love these unique people, and Lowell's one of them. I hope you guys have checked out previous episodes with him, and if not, I hope you tune in tonight and go back and check out the other stuff he's told us, man, because I think he's gonna full of some good information. Lowell, how you been?
It was quiet for most of the fall. I presented the last time we were together was in September, wasn't it?
Correct, correct.
Oh God. Well, I presented at a conference in Orlando in October and then just had to withdraw for a while. It was the first time that people interested in phenomenon beyond us all had an opportunity to actually see each other face to face. So there were 1,000 people in the room. I was blown away by it because I'm used to sitting on this side of a Zoom. And even if you got a couple dozen people in here, that's easy to take. When you stand up on a stage in front of 900 plus people and begin
That's
to talk about your
scary.
experiences, yeah, that is different.
Yeah.
How did it go
was-
from your perspective, though?
There were mixed reviews at the end, and I'll tell you why. I know that the organizer, who has a podcast channel or a YouTube channel of her own, Danny Henderson, Danny had heard my story and put it on her page and got within like 4 months of it 86,000 views. Yeah, people want to hear about Lemuria. They want to hear about some guy that actually got to visit. Tell us, yeah, we'd like to hear that. And so Danny took it upon herself to gather a bunch of us experiencers together and put on this conference. So over 3 days, it was amazing. I was the last speaker on Friday. And I thought, when we got to the end of the day, I don't like sitting through conferences all day long when they start at 8 o'clock and my ass is sore. So from that perspective, I figured people would have bailed. No, it was standing room only when it got to be my time. And this time, I know when I referred to Danny, I know that Danny was disappointed that I didn't tell my Telos story again. That's really what she wanted. She wanted me to reflect on interview. My guides weren't having that. No. They want everybody that was sitting in the audience to understand what this full spectrum light that's coming our way, what that means to sentient beings here. That was the story. They got to see pictures of me with light beings. And in the end, my story for you all is to see yourself in the picture where I was, because you're next. It's your turn for activation next. If you are aware of anything that's going on, I'm telling you that the clock is ticking quickly toward the time when the ship is imminent. And all of these steps are being taken. Our guides are doing everything they can to get our attention so that we are vibrating at the right level when Earth changes her vibration.
That's right. If you guys, for any of you guys that haven't tuned into Lowell's past episodes, he did share some of that information that you were talking about right there with us this last time. He showed us some of the photos of the light beings, and he even showed us some really cool artifacts and stuff.
Oh God, I forgot all about that. Yes, we debuted those on your podcast, my friend.
Yeah,
I think I saw that show.
And it was I was personally, I'm very grateful for you debuting them, of course, but like those artifacts have just stuck out, and I've actually had quite a few conversations about those artifacts since then, whether it be with other guests or just with other people that I know in general conversation. And like those things just alone, I think, were some of the most amazing points of everything, because
that sticks out to me.
It's something in your hands that's hard to refute. Like once you have something like that right there in your hands, what can you say? What do you have to say about that? Like you can't. That's like undeniable proof of something. Like
something.
And Lowell was so good at giving us a detailed, like it took 2 episodes for him the last time to give us such a detailed experience of what it is. And I gotta say one thing that I'm sad that Luis isn't here tonight, because he introduced you to that AI, and you have been I've been watching since you've done that on especially your Instagram, and you have brought, the underground or Lemuria, whatever, Agartha, whatever anybody wants to call it, because I know it has many different names, but whatever, you brought it to life. Like, you brought it to visually life to explain to people what you've seen through your eyes, thanks to that AI art device. And like, I love looking at it because I'm just like, this is, I know you're sitting there putting that detail in there of like what you've seen, trying to make it come to life, and it's done a really good job from my perspective.
Yeah, we all have Luis to thank for that. I'm telling you, there's no other explanation for that. I really thought that um, he was going to be here today so we could have this discussion. When he first had shown me, the very first episode, when we were all in the green room before the episode began, he started to show us these images he'd created, right? He said, yeah, you mentioned Telos, and so these are kind of the things that came up, and they blew me away. There was one that I just had to have, and bless his heart, he was gracious and offered it to me. But I had always wished, after the experience I had, that somehow I could take what was in my head and put it out there so that people could see what I had seen. And when Luis had explained this program and he showed me what I did, in my head, I'm thinking, I get to work with Luis. He was placed in my path. The guy's a graphic artist. He's going to take my keywords and he's going to make these images show. Well, that was about this much of the truth. The actual truth was Luis was supposed to show me that program, because within like 36 hours, and that's not a simple program to learn, understand how to even sign up for it, and then the whole idea keywords, it's not anything that comes right away. I am not an artist. I don't call myself one. However, this tool is amazing. And whatever divine inspiration was coming through me, they materialized into those things. So those are as close to the replications of Inner Earth, Telos, and the things that I've seen, and it just branches out. Now I keep running into people that remind me of druids and elementals. And so I've gone back to the drawing board and looked for those, and oh my God, they amaze me. So it's all meant to trigger people. I've gotten lots of people who have made remarks on that they were moved by it in some way. Sometimes they couldn't really understand what it was or why, but if it was supposed to move them and kind of get them to wake up to their current state of awareness, then so be it. I love it.
I like how you put that, because I have found that it is different things that wake different people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
there's you can show the same room of people the same information, and you're only going to get that one person that might click with that information. And of a room of 100 people, maybe, where you can change the information and share something else with them that is maybe similar to that, but also kind of on the same pathway to showing somebody the light of the situation. And that could be the item that triggers them, and then they'll go back to that other thing they denied at first and be like, hey, now that I'm looking at it with open eyes, it makes sense to me. It's kind of always been a motto here with the show, is that whole one mind at a time idea, that, well, like we were talking beforehand about having different subjects and different things. Some people, they're into Telos, or into Inner Earth, or into Bigfoots or aliens, or Lord knows what. And I think that all of that kind of stuff is connected in its own sense, because after talking to you and your light beings, and then I talked to a gentleman that said that he had talked to Bigfoot, and he had some really cool pictures too. And what was interesting about his pictures is that his beings almost looked like invisible beings. Like, you could see almost like an invisible being standing in front of something. There was like a distortion there. And it kind of reminded me of some of the pictures that you showed me. And I was just like, wait just a minute. is this just another light being of some kind out here running around, or another
The
group of
veil
it,
is very, very thin right now.
And
The veil is so thin. It's crazy. It's crazy what you can see right now.
the distortion thing, like a big thing a lot of people tell me when I get to talking about Bigfoot is they're like, oh, well, the pictures are, no matter what, are always distorted. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course they are, because he's vibrating in a frequency that you can't comprehend.
Exactly right.
And
exactly right.
That's why the picture's distorted. And it's the same, I think, with like these light beings, or even what other people might call aliens and stuff. Like, I think that they're all in a different vibrational range.
They are.
Dude, you were right on the money when you said all of that's connected. So here is where it's my turn, and take advantage of your platform to tell people this is all about understanding dimensionality, because you're all capable of it, whether you realize it or not. Once you do and get your vibration attached to what exists in that next experience, you'll experience it once you can get your vibration to steady and hold it at a frequency that all that stuff already exists at. Once you're there, you experience everything that's around you. So I love it when you start to bring parallels to all these things and help others understand what our guides are trying to tell us is not whether angels exist or not, or whether ETs exist or not, or whether UFOs are in the sky or not. Come on, guys, get over yourselves. We know that that stuff is here, but there's a much more important lesson to learn, that Earth is about to shift into a whole nother level of consciousness. That means her vibration is going to rise. That means that every sentient being has to match her vibration in order to survive on it and thrive in it. And although you're riding in this little carbon-based body here, you little soul, you have to adjust your vibration. Most of the people that I've spoken with that are open, I can tell your vibration is already at a place where you're ready for the next stage. When you talked about those distortions, Jim Bob, to me those are like the light energy fields and portals that I see out in nature. That's exactly what they are. You're starting to straddle dimensions. I got 1 foot in this one, I got 1 foot in the next one. So I'm beginning to see those forms of things that are in that next place.
So
some of the people that are going to listen to this are thinking that we're out of our minds.
Well, they might think
but
that,
we're not.
I'm telling you, ever since I was a kid, I've been seeing beings from other dimensions, things that nobody else sees. And it's not all the time, not like a schizophrenic thing where, these episodes come on or something. They come around certain people around certain times, and it's always the same people. I saw a video just yesterday of this guy. He caught on camera robbing a car, right? Well, across the street, before he even shows up to the car, you can see this shadow being stop across the street from the car and just wait. And then this guy comes up, opens the car door, robs the car, and then when he takes off running, that shadow being runs right with him and just latches onto him.
Interesting.
And people dismiss stuff like that, the spiritual realm and stuff, but that stuff is real. And if you vibrate on a low frequency, you are going to attract low vibrating beings.
You couldn't have said it better. What we put out is exactly what the universe sends back to us in abundance. So if you want to spend your time and your attention on things that are negative, don't be surprised when that's what you get back in abundance. And when your vibration's that low, it's just a crappy world to live in. You can figure out how to adjust your vibration higher and tune out all the white noise.
I've found, you make mention of like the health aspect of it too, there with the vibration and low vibration, and it being extremely an effect on your body in different ways. I, for example, like personally know some people that constantly like to point at a black cloud. You know what I'm saying? Like they never find the light in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you can I can see like just in photographic evidence how within a short amount of time they have gone from looking like they were almost 40 to looking like they're really really bad, like like their health just took a complete spill. And
Yeah.
I try to explain to people a lot, you can't just constantly point and scream at that black cloud, because all you're going to do is just drag yourself down, and the energy
Mm-hmm.
that you're putting out with that is going to drag others down. That's the whole I've said it before in the past, a word that I call it fear porn. Like, I'm not a very big person into the idea of fear porn, because all it does is produce negativity and produce, like
Right.
like I I'm all for enjoying a horror movie or something on occasion, but there's something to be said about uh, the ability to watch something that induces, such a level. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
that
Like
induces
the
certain.
hostile movies.
Yeah, right.
The like those. Yeah.
That has an effect, that you
Yeah.
put out an energy from watching something like that, and
Right.
people don't realize that. And
Well, there's your barometer right there. I want you to just keep that in mind. And anyone that's listening to this and anyone you ever talk to, when you get into a circumstance or you're watching something, does your vibration rise or does it fall? There, it's that simple.
that's why
If
I'm a
it's
big fan.
fallen, then you probably want to rethink what your thoughts are, because those thoughts become things.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big fan of stand-up comedy. Like, people are always like, because people will catch me
Yes.
like I for years now I have trouble watching some TV. I might sit down and watch some cartoons with the kids. I've gotten them into like classic Looney Tunes and like classic Batman cartoons and stuff like that. Like the older stuff when cartoons were fun and different and actually drawn and not done on a computer. And like I can enjoy stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, that's just you getting old," and I'm like, "No, like it's
Mhm.
definitely different now. Like the stuff that's put
Everything
out,
is produced.
yeah." And the fact, and so I just don't really enjoy it and stuff, but I do love stand-up comedy. And I think stand-up comedy is a great like starting point, because people don't realize how much truth there is in stand-up comedy, because
Yeah.
they're allowed to hide it as a parody
A
thing.
joke. Yeah.
George Carlin was one of the greats
Yeah.
that did it the most, but I see, because I do watch so much stand-up comedy or even listen to it while I'm at work and such, like you can hear it on a constant basis, these comedians telling you the truth in the form of a joke. And the
Dave
way
Chappelle,
Dave Chappelle's a good one too. And
Cat
I've
Williams.
always stole kind of a little bit of that in my own aspect of things, because I believe, very truly believe, that if I can make you laugh, I can deliver a message better to you
Yes.
than anything else. So if you can get a good snicker off something right off the bat, then somebody's let their guard down and you're able to talk to them more. They're more comfortable talking to you because you've made them laugh. And people don't, that whole laughter is the best medicine, etc. Like, people don't realize how contagious that is. You start that laughter and it sends out such a positive vibration that you can change your whole reality of your day just by starting it out like that. I mean, on the way into work, that's what we listen to in the morning after I pick up my work partner, is we listen to stand-up specials on the 35-minute ride to work after I pick him up, because why not start the day giggling and laughing at people making fun of the clown world we're in, instead of listening to the radio tell you, "Oh, there's this many people dead today," and blah blah
Hmm.
blah. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I
like,
know what I like about comedians. They're authentic.
yes,
It's a gift
it is.
when
It
they
really
can make
is.
you laugh. And they're willing to be vulnerable and use themselves as ammunition. Those people are a gift to us.
To know
Yes.
when to use it, the timing, the delivery, the punchline. It truly is a gift to be able to make people laugh on a
Mhm.
on a consistent basis. Yeah, it is. Whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood. comedians, if you're a true comedian, you will always be
And
able to make people
and
laugh.
and the thing about it is I think that's another one of those areas in the world. If you look today, you do have some, like, like your Dave Chappelle's and a couple other that don't have a problem being vocal about, real situations and involving themselves, like you're saying there, Lal. And then but you have this whole society of cancel culture right now that is, you have comedians scared to be comedians anymore.
Yeah.
There is some truth to that. You look at people like
They
Cat
are.
Williams, like Cat Williams, or even Kevin Hart. They say the wrong thing, and they become demonized and drug and stuff like that, even though they're just trying to put on a show for laughs. And I think this is some of that stuff that I can remember, like, I guess my grandfather even telling me is, you gotta not be so serious all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it there's a time for serious, don't get me wrong, but some people, I think they go to shows or stuff like that looking for a problem, looking to be
Well,
offended, and it's
I
just
mean, if you think about it, the stuff, listen to like Eddie Murphy's old stand up, or like Richard Pryor, or Chris Tucker's old stuff. I mean, if
I'll
they
go back
said
even
some of that
further on
stuff
you.
today,
Red Fox. That's a classic comedian right there.
yeah,
People, and
yeah,
he was raunchy for his time. That
right,
was above the line, or considered above the line. And the really thing about it is that they're just being so honest. I'll reference George Carlin all day, because there's so many things that he said that were just in his stand up that you got millions of people laughing at, but when you're really sitting there listening to it, you're going, holy crap,
hmm,
he's he's telling the truth. Like, whoa, like, that's, it's mind-blowing, I think, to those young. But that goes back to that, what is the thing that sets people off or wakes people up? I'm not tooting my own horn, but
right,
that's some of the idea of why I am such a standout figure when you pop up and you see this face online, and the hat and the wacky flag and the pirate and stuff, and people are just like, why? And I was like, because it knocks your guard down, because you want to know what this guy's sitting here about to say. Like, they're like, well, what's this weirdo got about to come out of his mouth? And then I come out with something that you weren't expecting that's actually makes sense, and people are just like, wait a minute,
hmm,
like, what is this fella talking about? And that's,
right,
that's how I've always seen the whole use propaganda in a positive way, because at the end of the day, this is in its own sense, this is propaganda. Things that you are out there putting is propaganda. And I try to
hmm.
explain to people that propaganda isn't always a bad word. Like,
No, it doesn't have to be.
yeah, like, you can sway people to think in a positive manner, to raise vibration through this same idea of propaganda, whether it be memes, whether it be jokes, whether it be a silly guy in a pirate hat. Like, I can propagate that positivity,
Right.
whether you like it or not, because you're gonna get a laugh at this one way or the other. So,
Well, I spread a lot of awareness about the entertainment industry, like, and that's kind of my specialty, is to spread the awareness of the entertainment industry, and not just the entertainment industry, because it doesn't stop there. It moves on into politics and the rest of the world, and we are taught to consume by the entertainment industry from a very small age, and that's how it goes back around in a circle. We're taught to consume by watching TV, and we have to have the new best thing out on the market constantly. And it's like that movie, where they put on the glasses and they see, the words obey and, consume and stuff, and take them off, and it's
they
just a
live.
regular ad. Yeah, it's just like that. And a lot of people get angry because there's subjects that I can touch on where people are like, well, but not that actress though, but not that actor though. And I'm sorry, but to be a household name, you have to know some things. I mean, you can't go past that glass roof without being a part of that club.
This takes me once again back to George Carlin. People to say that, oh, there's not a global conspiracy where all these people are tied in together, and it doesn't have to be formal. You have a lot of people that have the same interests and that have the same money and that spend the weekend together on yachts and stuff, so you can't tell me that these same people that are in this entertainment industry or this political industry or a lot of these industries don't all have these same unsaid agenda in mind, since they do have similar interests and such.
Right.
And that's one of those things that I think
there's tons of proof of them being together.
That's one of those things I think that the real conspiracy theorists are the people that don't think that people with so much money and power don't conspire against the people, that are out here trying to do the opposite of that. But as you guys were saying about the veil lifting and the veil being very thin, this, if Bandit was here, he'd back me up. And this goes back to the internet being a double-edged sword, and more people like Lowell being brave enough to come forward with, what they see, what they know, what they're trying to explain to people. And I personally see it raising the vibration across the platform of life, period.
I do too.
Because that's why the veil is so thin now, because
awareness.
Many people are bringing awareness in such positive ways. And again, Lowell being one of those, like, Kaytlyn, you just met the fellow this evening, but I know from talking to him and from watching him online and interacting with him, this is one of the kindest gentlemen you're ever going to come across. Like, he has no male intent, like nothing that he's doing is like intention with negativity, like,
right.
And that is the positive thing in general. Like, and that's why I asked you to come back again, Lowell, and catch up and stuff, is because I like having these positive conversations in a good direction, because we do have our days where we get kind of gloomy and doomy, not on purpose, but when you get to talking about some of the goings on in the world, it
can get pretty depressing.
Well, Earth was an experiment in duality, guys, and we all got our master's degrees in this last incarnation. The good news, we don't have to repeat it anymore. We've learned all the 3D lessons we need to. However, we're still in it. And so it's, when my awareness of really the nature of the world really came to me a couple years ago, and I really thought hard about what would it take for humanity really to all come together. What one thing can I think of, knowing that the extremes are so extreme? What one thing, what topic can I come up with where everyone will kumbaya together? And you know what I came up with? Yeah, there ain't one. We are nowhere close to everybody on the furthest edges of extremes, the do's and the don'ts and the blacks and the whites, and you chop it up any way you want. It's just our conditioning as human beings to put something in a category. I got to label it somehow. Once it's got a label, it's got an alternate version of it, and I have to pick one. And the part that pisses me off the most is when people describe this box that I'm supposed to fit in and then tell me I don't fit in it.
I totally understand that. I've probably been called every put down from each side of everything that there is. And, the people believe in the illusion of choice. They tell you that you're free to choose and live how you want to be or whatever, but in reality, they want you to choose between Pepsi or Coke, or if you come out of left field and say, well, no, I like RC Cola the best, they're like, what's wrong with you? And it's just like, no, those are the people, those are the things, those fringy subjects, whether it be, Bigfoot or aliens, to just the all out kind of laughable and weird, those I think are a more step in the future, because you have more people open to looking at these things again and thinking about these things again, instead of just believing it's all been written off. Like if you go by written history and stuff, oh no, we've been here for this, and this is how it was, and this is how it's going to be. But they have they have attempted to erase the true magical existence of this place, this dimension that we're in. It's magical in its own essence, but they've tried to do a really good job of hiding that magic. And unfortunately, I don't think they covered their tracks as well as they thought they had, in the past, because thanks to the internet
Yeah.
and thanks to people like you and stuff like that, it's starting to be more prominent everywhere that people can
Well,
talk about.
Kaytlyn made mention of spirituality earlier, when we began, and she's right. There's always been a metaphysical side of every human being.
Yes.
We've just forgotten it. We either got disconnected from it or just put off to the side, or we're never aware of it. And by now, the people that want to steal our attention, which is where you lose your power, they figured out how to do it.
Sure.
They put a little device in your hand that you glue yourself to, so that it's impossible for you to find a quiet moment to connect with higher things beyond you.
Sure. Sure.
But somehow along the way, there's something still comes along. Something came along my path. I can't really pinpoint what it was that came along and saved me from all that and showed me that, wait a minute, there's more than this. You just know that it is. Now, who can I talk to about that? Well, yeah, the tribe hadn't shown up yet, but I just knew that there was something else out there. And every time I'd go down a rabbit hole, regardless of whether it produced three more, I got answers that solved for me the things that I needed to do as due diligence. And I'm a freaking Capricorn, and I'm a stubborn one. So you really got to prove the things that I've concluded I believe now. And I believe this. I believe in multidimensionality.
Yeah.
That's my Telos experience.
Look,
was
if you
one
can
of
get
those.
a Capricorn to believe in that, I got
Yes.
faith in anything.
You,
Because
you know,
Capricorn's definitely not.
you make mention of the multiple dimension idea and stuff like that, and this is something that I'm in very big support of when I try to explain things to people. And I guess here's my turn to pull a little bit of a crazy card. Like, for years now, I've been telling people that this isn't the dimension I started in, and I've almost pinpointed the time that I got to this one. And for years, I've been producing my own experiments to basically see if I could butterfly affect this dimension. And I really think I can. And I think you can, and I think others can. I think there is a good chunk of us that were born into or wound up in this dimension due to something along the way.
We chose
And
it.
and now, we have to do exactly that. We have to butterfly affect it to bring that vibration up and into the other direction. There's, and I like the idea of chosen too. My only struggles is having memories from both dimensions. Like, I could sit here and have conversations with people about things, and they were like, "Well, that didn't happen. That's not true." And I'm like, yes, it did. Like, I have a trauma-based memory tied to it. You can't deny it, at this point. And they're just, and it's funny in some of these conversations like that, because they're uh, around 2016 ish is when this version of me showed up to this version that's here. Because I'm totally all for there's multiple versions in you in other dimensions and stuff like that. I believe that, but I think that I took over the Jim Bob of this dimension from another dimension with purpose. Like, I truly believe there's purpose, and a lot of times I just tell people the bottom line of that purpose is like, it's for me to make you laugh. That's that purpose. We can get into some other stuff later, but the main purpose is I'm here to make you laugh. Like, I need this skin suit to get the giggles so that I can get to the being on the inside and let them hear me.
I like that.
That was really well said.
Yeah, I really like that.
Appreciate
My phone is about to die. I don't want to just bleep out on you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys goodbye.
Oh,
Okay.
it's okay. It's quite all right. Kaytlyn, I appreciate you joining us tonight and being more
I'm glad
proactive
I
on the
got
website. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm glad
Thanks,
glad
Kaytlyn.
I got the apps working. I'm so glad I got to meet you. I'm gonna go back and look at the artifact episode again because I love history and I love artifacts and stuff like that. So
Well, you know where to find me.
I will. I sure will.
And
Y'all have a good night. I'll talk to you later.
good night,
Thank you.
Kaytlyn. And
Bye.
And of course, you guys that are out there watching and listening, Kaytlyn does have totally her own section over there on the website where she covers strange and unusual. She gets in there to make you think, you know. She, like she said earlier, she likes to cover a lot of kind of like occult stuff, dealing in like politics, parapolitics, and Hollywood and stuff like that, because there really is stuff to that. I I've been trying for years to explain to people that there is, you know, all these separate religions kind of destroyed spiritualism, but at the same time it has hints to it in each one of these, and they broke the spiritual connection by making everything literal instead of the figuratives and stuff that it really is. And I think this connects back into the different levels of like the spirituality aspects of things like this, and the levels of like where our consciousness is based on all of these ins and outs and different ways that these things work that way. I know it sounds kind of far-fetched. I know y'all out there listening are like, oh god, Jim Bob's rambling, but I know Lowell understands me.
Yeah, well, let me help you out, Jim Bob, because if we're going to let them think you're crazy, then we'll let them take me along with you. However, when you were talking about this other aspect of yourself, you think that kind of kicked into gear in 2016, and this is a good time maybe to help your audience who might not really be on board with the idea, to help kind of get them the way that I got there. So, in order for us to have any kind of meaningful discussions about other lives, we have to agree, first of all, that people agree that reincarnation is a thing.
Yes.
Because if they don't, then we're done having our conversation. But if you really like to explore further, then I'm on board with that because I'm convinced of it.
Oh
Now,
no, I've been convinced on the reincarnation aspect of it, and I have done a lot of studying into my other past lives and ideas like that, and then mixing in the idea of the multi-dimension thing, like I made mention of the 2016 me arriving to this one, and then I also have memories of the fact that I was awake and on board with a lot of the ideas and stuff that I have back in like 2001. Like I remember in my previous dimension watching 9/11 happen on the television and being like, wait a minute, like I was already in tune to the fact that we were already paying more taxes than we were when the American Revolution happened and stuff like that. Like I was like, something's not right here. This shouldn't be happening here. Something's not right. And then again, when the 2016 thing came along, like that was the idea of me arriving here. And I've blown a few people's mind because I'll tell you that you can go visit the grave of your previous life. And I know a lady that specializes in like what is it, the past life regression therapy. And
yes.
like, and she can give you the coordinates and your name and stuff like that. You can go visit your old grave, and people are like, why would you do that? And I encourage it because you have a connection with your old self and can totally get downloads just from doing that. And people are like, what?
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, like, it's everything's already in the ether, it's already in the vibration, and you can get it back if you do the footwork.
There you go. Well, these reincarnations that you've had should make it really clear to people that if we believe in it, we have had past lives. Now, I'm not going to sit here and insist that you've had many, 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 many of them, but I'm telling you, you've had many, many, many of them. And each time you did, your soul rode in a different vessel back then. You're still in 3D, so you were in a human form in this, but every time we came back in another incarnation, we had a whole new set of lessons that we were willing to learn to assist source so that they could know more about themselves. That is why everyone's journey is unique. No one has the same lessons. Eventually, we'll all benefit from them from the collective. But in each one of those incarnations you've had, you have stored away information in your Akashic records that every time you reincarnate, the memory banks have been wiped clean, not permanently, but they're not accessible to you until perhaps your awareness comes around in this incarnation, and all of a sudden you have access to all of that information again. When we reach this, when we climb out of this dimension and third density and reach our next fourth dimensional and eventually fifth dimensional, because it's a quick pass, all of those records you've had stored away become back at your disposal in your next vibration. That's why it's so important that where we're going now, envision co-creators that all have unique gifts. Yours is unique, not like mine, and you're not supposed to be mine. And here's why: because Jim Bob does something special that none of the rest of us can do. It's so simple for him that he doesn't think twice about it, but we all freaking marvel when he does. Now, the universe's fabric is not complete without his piece. That's why he's important. And as special and unique as his gift is, so is mine. So watch when he does his thing, how special that is. Watch when there's two of us that have unique gifts in the same room, or 6 of us in the same room, or 12 of us who understand they're sovereign beings with free will that have the ability to co-create our futures. Watch what we do next, because the day is coming when Earth's shift is coming, and we all need to prepare.
I have tried many ways to explain this. That a lot of everybody is all on this same mission. They're in different levels of it. They, some of them may not be awake to it just yet, but I'm positive they're going to get there at some point. Something always clicks for you to begin a venture of finding yourself. And, in that venture, you learn a lot of amazing, interesting things along the way. And you're right, you do store it away. Each reincarnation is a different set of lessons for you to learn, a different set of skills, a different set of this, that, and the other, because your soul being is trying to get all of those experiences. And again, I really believe in the ability to access these things in this lifetime after doing a lot of the footwork and stuff, because it's all there in the vibration. It's in the ether. It's in that air that you can't see around you. I like to reference, have you ever had an idea? You know what I'm saying? Like, years and years ago, you had an idea and you never moved on it. You just kind of forgot about it. And then all these years later, you see something come up on like a commercial or a billboard or whatever for your idea. And you're just like, well, wait, that was my idea when I was like a 12-year-old kid. And it's because, it came to you, but through the ether, but you passed on it. You weren't able to move on it then and there. And it just went back to the ether, waiting for the next person that honed it in and pulled it in. Like, it's all already there. Like, I made mention of skills earlier, because I tell people all the time I'm one of those jacks of all trades. Like, there's nothing that if I set my mind to, I can't do, whether it be building a house to taking an engine apart to, I work with appliances currently. So it's a lot of the stuff I wasn't ever truly formal trained. I just picked up a tool and started working. And people are like, well, what do you mean? And I'm just like, I don't know. I did it before. Like, it came back to me. I did it before. Like, muscle memory from maybe 6 or 7 lives ago. You don't know where sometimes it comes from. And I think, I hear so many people being like, I can't, or I don't know. And I'm like, yes, you can. Like, if you just quiet the world around you and focus on that in whatever it is, when you get that focus, you'd be surprised at the things that you can do.
Yeah. If they say they don't know, that may be relative to what they think the rest of the world is measuring them up to understand.
True.
When they should understand that they were meant to be unique and not like everybody else. Doesn't mean that you don't vibrate with them and that you're not connected to them as well, because we are. We are. So part of me is inside of you and part of you is inside of me. We're all just electromagnetic beings making our way to our next level of vibration. And it is close. I sense it when there's the solar phenomenon that's going on now. Every time, I don't need to hear a warning about it anymore. Something in my ethereal body feels that already. And we have the capabilities to sense that kind of stuff once you're tuned into it. And there's where I get to sense things that are in higher vibrations and dimensions than I currently am. That's how I got to see the things that I got. What I continue to preach is that I'm no different than anybody else. My focus is different than the rest of you's. What I can quiet my mind to experience is different from the rest of you. But our physicalities, boys and girls, are no different. We all have the ability to do this. And I'm here not to change anybody's mind about the crazy things that Jim Bob and I have been discussing here, and whether you think it's fantasy or not. I can tell you from my perspective, it is not fantasy. And we're about this far away from bringing it into our realities. And in order for us to experience it, our vibration has got to match where we're going next. All we're trying to do is ring the bell, hit the drum as loud as we can, so that maybe one of those actions is going to trigger somebody else to open their mind up to things they don't understand yet or things they haven't experienced yet. It's coming.
I met a fellow, and I think he put it quite nice. He said that what I do, what you do, and stuff like that, we're ushers. We're like, like the ushers in the church or wherever it is. They're trying to help you find your way to your seat. Like,
you're a way shower.
We're trying to usher you to your way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would, and that's that's one of those things that me and Bandit, especially in Bandits here, that we try to hammer in about this show, is that maybe the episode that you're watching right now, maybe none of this makes sense to you. Maybe you think I'm off my rocker and I found Lowell hanging out in some kind of weird place too, and he's off his rocker. But I'm here to tell you that we're not, and that if this one isn't for you yet, I understand, and this one's not for you. There's 150 plus more episodes that you're welcome to go thumb through and check out, because I think there's something inside of them that can trigger that, and you can come back later and sit down and listen to this one and be like, holy crap, those crazy rambles now make sense. It's one mind at a time, one person at a time, one day at a time. I've been on the venture of trying to get you to wake up and understand for a good chunk of my life. I've even before I ended up in this dimension, like I was on that mission of, hey, wake up, there's something wrong. They're not, the signs are there. There's something not in the stars correct. And it was always Jim's conspiracy theorists. That's where Captain Conspiracy come from. They were just like, oh, leave it to Captain Conspiracy. He's always got some far-fetched idea of what it is. And you realize at some point that it's not their fault, and you're not some kind of crazy schizophrenic person. You're just ahead of the curve, and you're seeing and understanding these things at a level that others don't yet. The whole old soul
That is
idea.
wonderfully put. That's exactly right.
There's so many of us that when we were younger, we were told, oh, you're an old soul. And you're right. You're 100% right. I am an old soul. I believe I'm one of the many people that have been here on multiple reincarnations, because I had a lot of lessons to learn, so that when I did get to this incarnation, and when Lowell got to this incarnation, we were ready to face this battle headstrong and full on, regardless of ridicule, regardless of non-believing, regardless of any of that. We're still just like, hot dang, we're gonna keep going one way or the other. You know what I mean? Like, and
Hmm.
I think it's beautiful, and meeting more people like that, to me, is just the beauty part of all of it.
We talked about authentic people when we talked about comedians we like to listen to. That's who's showing up now. People that are vibrating at the same level that you and I are, that's our tribe showing up.
It is.
So finally, here are some people we can have these discussions with. And I'm not the only one having extraordinary experiences, and no one's having the same ones because we weren't meant to have the same ones. I wasn't supposed to, with a few exceptions, there are things that Jim Bob can teach me from his experience, but that's not his role. What Jim Bob can do, no one else can do. And so I like to think of the tribe that's been surrounded around me, that I don't worry about what Jim Bob knows how to do, because when it comes time for him to play his role, we got him. He didn't need to teach somebody else. We have him because he knows how to do it.
That's right. That each one of us has an intricate part to play in that, and it is all part of a bigger plan, I think. And when we play our part and we do our part properly, that bigger plan is fulfilled. Whether like you've been talking about all night, the shift into a better dimension of all the above. Like I I try to. I'm one of those guys that says that you people people are always asking, why is there so much tainted and evil and stuff like that in the world, and I think that just has to do with our very low three-dimensional vibration. And once we do make that shift, once there is an overpowering positivity, we're going to be leaving stuff like that behind. Like you know we our insane issues with houses being empty and so many homeless people being around, that's not going to be a low vibrational problem anymore, because I think it'll shift to where everybody will be fine and housed, and everybody will be fed and stuff like that. And sure, is evil going to perish for some of the things that they did? Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just kind of the way that karma works. It is eventually going to bite that evil in the ass. But
Well, look at it this way. We're all light,
yes,
and there's new spectrum of lights that
yes,
is coming toward us. And I don't think it's so much, although it's natural for us in 3D to talk about good and bad and black and
sure,
white.
sure.
Think of it this way: that's dark energy that we're about to transmute into light.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what we're
totally
doing.
where I was going with it, is that when this shift happens, that it's not gonna be like that anymore. Like
Mm-mm.
it's a shift into the light. Like it's I don't want to sound utopian, but like it's totally gonna be all the candy and rainbows and unicorns that you totally wish it was.
Well, you
Like,
can be utopian around me, pal, because that's exactly what we're stepping into. This whole idea of Eden and a wonderful, beautiful planet. If we remove the white noise from the planet we have now, 3D Earth is beautiful.
yes.
We're going to uh, uh, experience that kind of physical expression with her again when we get back to the point where our metaphysical side kicks in and we know we're part of her, just like we're part of one another.
And
And that kind of symbiosis, we get to share her energy with
that
us.
and that's one of those things that people are always like, why am I such into like the natural lifestyle? A lot of people joke and call it caveman living or whatever. And it's just not that I'm caveman living, it's that I like my connection to earth. And I think that the more that I live with the land, the better I am physically, mentally, all prosperity, all the above. You know, the closer I am to Earth, the better off I am. And not to sound like a lunatic, even though I can probably have a few instances tonight that I have, but if Bandit was sitting here, he would be going, this is what Ted Kaczynski or whatever was talking about in his manifesto, was technology is going to separate us from Earth, and that is a problem, and I think I've seen many people throughout history warn us that technology would surpass us, and that would be the issue. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need this guy. You don't have to have this. You can totally shut it off and go and enjoy an entire day, and the world's not going to end, and this thing's not going to like blow up or something. Like it I encourage it all the time. I go get lost out on the river, and I promise you, when I'm out there in the river, this thing don't even have service, so it's not even like it's worth bringing. And it's those times that are important in so many ways. Lowell, this is one of my other co-hosts that he finally was able to tune in this evening, that I don't think you've met either. This is DJ Kell. This is
Hey,
Lowell.
Kel.
Hey, how's it going?
This is Lowell. He has been on in the past before, and as I was telling you in our messages, he's the guy that has been to Telos and stuff inside of Mount Shasta, and we've been talking about love and light and positive shifts in energy, and actually stuff right up your alley, Kell. So I'm glad you actually kind of popped in here towards the end. I'm glad to see that you're here, bud. I know it's been a little rough on your end. We made mention of you earlier, so good to see you in here tonight. You there?
I'm glad to be on the show too with you, Mr. Bud. JB had messaged me and told me what the topic was and who was on, man, and this is right up my alley, man. I'm very interested and humbled to be here, and can't wait to hear some of your wisdom from that storehouse within you, man. So bring it on, lay it on my head.
Well, we just kind of going with the flow. So if you've got a topic in mind, throw it out there. And I don't know how much time we have left. It's 9 anyway, but you'll know where to find me, Kell. If you got other questions,
exactly.
we'll
And
definitely.
you don't have to extend it no further. Just this last little piece of the show, I am grateful for. And okay, so what's your take on not trying? Let me see. What's your take on like spirituality in today's world? I'm just trying to start a reference point because I got a lot.
Man, you missed the last 45 minutes. You'd have been at home.
Oh yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to get a hold of you. No, that's why I was trying to get a hold of you earlier, man, because this was.
It's a reason now. It's a reason, brother, why I'm just, and I'll explain. There's a lot going on, Jay, but it's not all bad now. What's around
JB, perhaps maybe we should do this again when we know Kell can be in.
Nice.
And we'll do another program.
Absolutely.
And we'll just talk about the metaphysical side of ourselves that's freaking waking up. That's what we should do.
We can definitely set it up and plan it, because Lowell, I definitely love having you on when you come over here and make the time to join us. And I need to have you on a little bit more, because you are always such a pleasure and so friendly. And, some of the things you were talking about tonight, there's another fellow that when we go to set this up, I might have to try to set him up and get him on here as well. He's an older fellow that's a return guest that Kell actually knows as well, Jody. Yeah, and I actually had him back again here recently, and he is all about the love, light, and lifting the vibration. And he stays up in Canada, and he is big into like fasting and breathing practices and meditation and stuff like that. And I mean, it back to kind of what we've all been saying tonight. This kind of stuff is connected and in your benefit to do. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. Like I try to explain this to people in a lot of episodes. But the point about it is that you need that meditation so that you can focus that me and you've been talking about all night, Lowell, on the inside, because that meditation is, to me anyway, and to many people I talk to, is kind of key to.
It's paramount. It's paramount. Hey, Jay, let me tell you something. I'm gonna start this reference points, and then I'm gonna go ahead and continue. And I really want another day that I could sit down with Mr. Bud and you, and we continue this metaphysical. But let me ask y'all this: what is it about when you're doing a positive thing, when you're meditating, when you're staying centered? You hear me? It's also another compelling force that's attacking you. I'm telling you, once you're walking a righteous, once you're doing the right thing for your temple, and it's another force, JB. And I haven't updated it, JB, so it's a real reason why I'm saying. But it's another force that's trying to sabotage what you're trying to manifest, the health you're trying to bring into your life, the necessities, the freedom, and
So
everything.
what if I told you it was you?
I think so too.
Because people get, all right, this is going to blow some people's mind, and I think Lowell will be on board with me on this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you start breaking things down into the fringy number aspect of it, and when people hear the 666s, they're like, oh, that's evil, that's the devil. Well, no, actually, that's flesh and blood.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's man, that's flesh and blood. And the number 9 is of divinity. All right. And you can see the number 9 pop up in so many places in different ways. You know, I guess a good example is a woman's pregnant for 9 months before she gives birth. You know, you've got 9. You can start breaking numbers down and seeing how they add up to 9 and stuff, whether it be years or just different esoteric type ideas and such. But you have the divine being that we've been talking about all night, that's inside of you, that's the light being that is controlling the flesh suit that is the current you, that is your biggest enemy. Because this flesh suit enjoys its creature comforts and its pleasures here on this physical 3-dimensional realm, and is constantly battling with that spiritual entity that is controlling everything to begin with.
That is why we came here. We did come here to enjoy the physical parts. That's what this whole experiment was about. We just let someone else figure out how to steal our attention away from us.
Yes.
And when we did, we gave away our power.
And this goes back to something I was mentioning earlier about trauma-based mind control. Somewhere along the lines, secret groups like the CIA, for example, learned that you could induce trauma to cause mind control. If you traumatized your victim, you could take over their cognitive abilities or the way that they think or perceive things. And that goes back to like the horror movies and some of the other stuff we were talking about tonight, and the television programming that exists today about how it is basically traumatizing your brain, making it easily accessible by these other entities that you've spoken of, Lowell, and I think we speak of quite frequently, that are totally in control of today's modern 3-dimensional existence that we got going on.
Yeah. Our narrative, yes.
Kell, you're muted. Just so you know. I had to hit the mute because your conversation there, buddy. But it's so amazing.
I don't want nobody to set your stuff straight up. And I put it on Facebook. I put it everywhere.
Listen, that's I found Kell prior to all of this stuff. Like he was in the background when you were around the first time. He's an older gentleman, actually. He's just down there kicking it in Florida and has a really interesting history and is a man on a mission. And he has been slowly finding that mission. And I had to bring him along on this journey with me because he is very wise in a lot of ways. And
you know, there's no coincidences.
That's right.
And people are placed on our path for a purpose. So we're all here today because we were supposed to be.
That's right.
Hey, JB, let me tell you the truth. You did say the truth that it was me creating it. And let me tell you why. Because I had programmed myself to feel good about helping people that really didn't deserve that help, bro. You hear me? Because hold on, turn it down here. I'm sorry about that, fellas. Hey, JB, let me make this point, right? and like that didn't deserve that help, but the ego was telling me, bro. So it's not that the flesh is evil, it's that before we became in the awareness of the truth, that we allowed it to go rampant, and we allowed the ego to trick us into
Wow.
believing that the body is us, right? And so we got these desires, impulses, and this and the third, right? And once we balance it, because you gotta have that light and dark. We can't fight against ourselves. A lot of religion tells you that once your male phallus get hard, that it's a sin, and you start praying against yourself, and that's not the way. So a divided house can't stand. But once you know, and you're absolutely right, Jay. I am creating all this, but inadvertently, about not being true to my manifestation, to myself, because you can't properly love nobody and treat anybody right until you properly love and treat yourself right. So
Wow.
I allow, man, JB, you hit it.
Kell should be hosting this damn thing, shouldn't he?
I'm telling you, Kell is he was just one of these amazing souls that I did find along the way. And every time I have the pleasure of him joining me for an evening or meeting some of the other guests that we've had on, Kell is my standout superstar here that people are just like, where did you find this guy? Like, he's just this wise shaman that pops up, says some awesome, amazing things, and then he's got to pop out again. Like, and I'm just like, because that's my boy. That's my, like, he'll tell you right now, that's my twin brother. I know we have a difference in look, but we're totally twin brothers, man. Like,
and let me tell you something about that, bud. Let me tell you something about this man right here, man. JB is a real soul, man. This man have reached out and helped me and my son. We never met in physical form yet, brother. But let me tell you something. This man he's very acute and very sensitive because he feel me from miles away and know my authenticity. When his family members, or no, not family members, I meant relatives, because just because they're born in your family, that doesn't mean they're family, because family is going to be there regardless for you. Most people are just relatives, and JB been a family to me and my son, man. Not only that, but he's a genius. I love the agricultural side of him. He's boldly speaking out against what's right. It ain't got nothing to do with color. It's what's right and what's wrong. It's what it really boils down to at the end of the day. And Unconstitutional Awakening, the show he started, I seen it from its inception, and I love what he's doing. I'm glad I get to meet people like you, Mr. Bud. And please, I hope I get a chance to get back on the show again, because when I seen the topic of what JB text, I was trying to help and finish doing what I'm doing, and I couldn't. So I said, bump this. I'm just gonna do this on the go. And
because you had to get in here.
We got to figure out a day when you're sitting in one place, because we need to get in an environment where we can have an exchange.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Anytime will be fine. You guys make the date. Come, my son is back. JB, this is his second. Tomorrow will be his third day back in school since the incident.
All right.
I'm communing him, so and it's a very delicate incident that I'm dealing with, because it's ongoing, and I done found out some undeveloping things that's not conducive to my safety. But I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna speak that, because God is good, and what I mean by God, the force that's
Just
governing.
put out what you want to get back, buddy. You know how it works.
Yes, exactly right. And I'm standing firm, man. At the core of me, fellas, I got a peace. I'm in the eye of the storm, and everything in my cells are telling me that everything is going, like Bob Marley say, every little thing is going to be all right. So I'm not fit to feed into the fear. I'm not fit to think the worst, because that's how we trick ourselves into manifesting stuff also, by worried about things that haven't happened yet, and we sitting there fueling it. No.
I like to call those conspiracy theories about yourself, when you start worrying about things that haven't even happened yet or might not even happen. Like, you're just making conspiracies about yourself at this point. And that's dangerous in its own aspect too, because you're right, you can riddle yourself with anxiety in that kind of situation and bring yourself down or make the situation worse than it could have been. And
absolutely. But JB, this show is blessed, man. The people I met through here, Mr. Bud, man, I am humbled to be a part of this show, man, because the truth is, there's nothing higher than the truth, and this show have only dealt with truth since I've been knowing JB. And what drew me to JB, Mr. B, is that he have a talent for being able to compress truth in a 60 seconds. What he could pack in 60 seconds in video content is phenomenal. You know?
That's a gift. That's a gift.
Well, Kell found me on my old TikTok before they finally nuked me when I had 140 something thousand followers. I figured out how to put as much information as I could in that 60-second video. It took a lot of trial and error, and those are some of the key points I was talking about earlier, like, and why this show's all over the place and why my videos were even all over the place, because you never know which tidbit of information is going to be the tidbit of information that triggers somebody else's rabbit hole jumping. You know, whether it be venturing to Telos like Lowell, whether it be learning that NASA brought over all the Nazi scientists in Operation Paperclip, just it could be something teeny tiny. Whether it could be that shoes are a conspiracy. We actually got into a whole conversation about that a few nights ago with my buddy Jody, because of trying to be connected back to Earth. And it's amazing to see the tangled weave that was webbed for us to work through. And I'm glad to see that on a higher altitude of people, or a higher group of people in 2023, on the way to bringing that vibration to a higher place than ever before.
Absolutely.
Well, we're just finding each other to give each other comfort and exchange, because what we're going through, this is a cosmic cycle. This isn't about humanity all coming together enough to kumbaya together to get our vibration right. It's not that at all. This preparation is so that when Earth finally kicks into her next phase, which is soon, we can go with her. That's what this is about.
Yes, it is. Evolution of the soul. And that's what, see, that the word masons, everybody think the word mason means about brick mason with mortar and the brick mold, but the real masons was building the temple of the soul on this dimension. The temple of the soul collectively. They say that it was once one religion all across, that one religion that they're referring to as a metaphor for that. All the teaching, all the spiritual schools was teaching, was growing humanity collectively as a one entity on this realm.
That's right.
And the Bible say that the gods look down and say, "Oh no, let's go down and confound their language." So those are the Anunnaki, or the archons, or whatever you want to call it, that came and they spun it down, and that's why we have religions now. And there's a passage in the Bible when it say, with the birth of Enos, that's when man began to call on God, because before Enos, man knew he was an extension of God. I mean, and we treated each other good. Listen, all the pollutions that they put in our foods and poisoning us and killing humanity and playing humanity against each other by the color, about this, the politics thing. It's very sad about how they pulling this way and that way and trying to divide humanity. And humanity at its core, JB, is all about loving each other and doing unto others as they would. That's why these false flags, and if humanity is not being belligerent at a peaceful rally, they'll infiltrate that peaceful rally, police officers and everything, and incite a riot, and then blame the people for it. This shit is crazy, bro. But they can't stop spirit. They cannot. They cannot stop spirit.
And you can't kill an idea. If it's something that I can't insist on enough, is there may be martyrs and there may be people that are eliminated for their beliefs or for preaching these truths and stuff like that. But the fact about it is once you've planted that seed, you can never kill the idea, because an idea keeps moving. And once it's in that ether, once it's in that vibration, once it's in that air, it's coming back one way or the other, whether it be through you, whether it be through Lowell, whether it be through somebody 20 years from now, that message can always come back through that ether, because of, especially now with us putting it out there, because we're speaking that message out into the air, and it's in the airwaves of wherever you enjoy the show at, and it's in the airwaves from the moment that I said it. from the moment Lowell said it, from the moment Kell said it, from even when Kaytlyn was on here earlier, from the moment she said it. It's in the airwaves, and
Mhm.
you can't kill
And
that.
JB, and let me tell you another thing. We're also as we find pieces of the truth to see the bigger picture, we're also finding out about ourselves because like it's been places I've been in trouble, brothers. I ain't gonna be ashamed about it. I went to prison and everything, but let me tell you something how spirit was working. The prison that I got to, when I got there, I was placed in the right dorm, around the right officers and everything. So I went through a bad situation, but it was a beautiful path through it that it's like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I was in the fiery flames, bro, but I came out unsinged. You know what I'm saying?
Good for you for seeing it that way, Cal.
Yes, yes. It's beautiful. I mean, and it gives me more faith in the spirit. That everything is really all right. This is not a cliche. You know, once you know you are a good-hearted person and you don't mean nobody ill intent, you're not scamming no one. Money is not your God. You're not doing anything to get it. You're trying to help those when you can help those, irregardless if someone do something wrong to you. You're not hating and wishing them bad. The spirit will protect you. I mean, because like everybody else is really us on another time, in another body, but that's really us.
Yep.
You know.
Dude, I always hate to say these words, but I'm gonna say them anyway.
Okay.
You made those choices.
Yes.
You made the choice to learn those lessons. And
Yes.
so I say that because I want to thank you. Because all of the crappy lessons we had to learn, so we would get context out of the things that we had to learn, were on your journey. And eventually the entire collective gets the benefit. So thank you for the lousy lessons you've had to learn on my behalf. And you're welcome for the ones I've had to learn on yours.
No, you're absolutely right, and this goes all into the us being connected and us trying to shift this reality and stuff like that. And this has been great, and I really do want to set up one where I can make sure that you two are together from the start of the episode, because I think that you two are going to have some even better conversations with each other, because this is just all that connecting in, like
I look forward to it, Jay.
the first time it was me having the pleasure of meeting Lowell and bringing in Luis, and I think it's grown for him since then, as well as me. And I'm extra glad that you got to meet two of my newer co-hosts tonight than the same old crew that you're used to.
Man, I'm so sorry to cut us off like this, man. But my son's impatient, and I'm finna head back to the house, and he got school tomorrow. I had to get my car fixed. Hold on, son.
I thank you for coming in tonight, brother, and I appreciate you stopping by for the pop-up.
JB, I love you, man, and J.A. Bud, I can't wait to sit down with you again, and it's gonna be more from the beginning. I'm gonna be with you from the beginning, and we're gonna have a great show, and I'm looking forward to it. Please, guys, let's do that soon. Oh my God,
I'll get it planned.
I'm in.
Thank you so much.
So before, of course, we do sign out for, I sign out for the evening tonight. Lowell, I would like for you to make sure you can give us any plugs or any of the good stuff where we can find you.
You can. The easiest way is find my website, and you don't need to learn that cryptic email or iHat anymore. You can go to Lowell Johnson with no spaces .info, and it'll take you right to my website. My guides had scolded me that I made it too hard for people to see me. So my website officially is 40K foot view for 40,000 foot view, but you can use that other little acronym and it'll get you right here to the same spot.
And of course, I follow Lowell over there on Instagram, and I highly recommend it because it'll give you a smile every day if it doesn't.
Dude, let me tell you, when I tell people about where the inspiration for these photos came, I tell them I was on your podcast.
Well, thank you.
I had met Luis, and through that little no coincidental, experience, that is where those came from. So it was our paths were supposed to cross in order for all that to come out. Oh my God.
Hey, so well, blessed. I'm glad that I was able to help you with all that, and I thank you for coming over here and always making us have a fun time, man, and putting a smile on our face and having some really good conversation. Again, I know there's probably things on this episode people are going to be like, what are these guys rambling about? But that's okay. Like,
They'll be back.
I love being comfortable enough to have this kind of conversation with you, Lowell, and that you understand the things that I'm saying and I understand the things that you're saying, and it makes me feel a little bit better and not quite as crazy half the time. So I appreciate it. I really do. And we will definitely have you back on again here soon. And you guys that are out there listening and watching, all those links will be over there with this episode at unconstitutionalawakening.com, which so happens to be the same spot that you can go answer tonight's pirate riddle so that you can get you some of these sweet Unconstitutional Awakening stickers that I got going on. We've had this giveaway going on for a couple weeks now, and we're going to keep going on with it as long as I got a stack of stickers. So tonight's question is, how did the pirate ship get cuddly? You guys go over there, make sure you answer that question, and we'll talk to you on the next episode. Good night.